My mother taught me a lot of things. How it's easier to iron when you're singing. How store-bought Barbie clothes are mere zircon compared to the diamonds that were her hand-sewn ones. How the tender-hearted man you choose for a husband will most likely make a tender-hearted father. I learned the power of libraries, music, and imagination from my mother. How to caress rather than manhandle cookie dough, and how to make the best fudge ever. Seriously. But one hot summer's day when I was 10, I was given a crash course in mothering from a bitch. Her name was Tina, and she was a wild and pretty Springer Spaniel. We knew she was having puppies. The word pregnant was unspoken in our house. But there was no precise due date, and I was totally unprepared when, alone in the house, I found Tina upstairs on my brother's bed, a blue bag protruding from her back end. Spending summer vacations on my cousin's farm, I had seen how animals did it. It's just that I never saw what could result from doing it, i.e. an actual live birth. I raced to our neighbor's house and pounded on the back door. Tina's insides are coming out! Mrs. Mason wasn't as alarmed as I thought this pronouncement deserved, and calmly accompanied me back to my brother's bedroom, where we found Tina licking a wobbly-headed creature who nosed the air with a mole-like face. It's a puppy! There was a puppy in that bag! Wow! That's how they come, said Mrs. Mason. As the litter continued to grow, I couldn't believe that Tina, a first-time mother, knew exactly what she was doing, chewing away the bags, licking the puppy, and nudging them toward her teats. Lesson number 1, maternal instinct is a powerful thing. Right from the start, mothers do their best to get rid of any icky stuff and point their offspring toward what they need. When I first saw my own red-faced and squalling daughter, the shock of my deep, thorough love was even greater than the stunned relief I felt over having survived labor. As her dad cut her cord, I held Harley's little hand. That is to say, I laid my finger in the curl of her tiny ones and whispered that age-old primal declaration, "My baby." I would have cleaned up that newly delivered infant, but the nurses beat me to it. However, I did my job when she was placed in my arms, and I led her little fish-gulping mouth to my breast. The same thunderbolt of love lightning struck again when I saw my second daughter's face and held her and fed her, doing nothing more ordinary, nothing more extraordinary than mothering our child, and my child. Our garage, inside which my dad had made a little plywood whelping pen, became the neighborhood gathering place. Tina, a friendly and mild-mannered dog, patiently tolerated all gawkers. But when kids bent down and reached for the puppies, her low growl told them to remove their hands now. "Why is she growling at me?" said a kid named Bruce. "Because she's protecting her babies," said my oldest brother. "Well, I just wanted to pat them." Lesson number 2, mothers protect their children from real and or perceived threats. For her third Halloween, my younger daughter wore a cat costume. Made of fake fur and fashioned like sleeper pajamas with feet, it had a tail, and ears sprouted from the little hood that snapped under her chin. The costume was darling, and Kinga loved it. So much so that she insisted on wearing it for several days into November. One afternoon, I had taken my little kitty cat to the grocery store, And coming out, one of a trio of teenage boys across the street hollered, "Hey, Halloween's over!" I could have ignored them, but that would suggest a maturity I still don't possess. "And why are you still dressed up like the Three Stooges?" "Huh? Stupid." I'll never forget that first evening when the 13 mewling, squeaking puppies Tina had delivered were finally sated and asleep in a pile. Getting up off her side, her drained teats hanging, Tina stepped over the pen's low wall and was off like a streak, running down the alley. She wasn't gone long, and when she came back, she trotted over to my parents, who were sitting in the backyard with the Masons. "Good old Tina," said my dad, massaging her long, curly ears. "You've had a busy day, haven't you? What a good dog." Lesson number 3, mothers need breaks. And praise. We were living in California, and my mom had planned to come visit from Minnesota a week after Harley was born. I called her up the minute we got home from the hospital. "Could you please come right now?" There's nothing like holding an infant, but there comes a time when you have to pass her to someone else. You can get a cup of coffee or a margarita. Kidding, sort of. My husband was great with the baby, but he had to go to work, and as a new mother, well, I needed my mommy. It thrilled my mother to have alone time with her grandchild, and it thrilled me to do my version of streaking down the alley, checking out books at the library, wheeling a cart down grocery store aisles, or wandering down to the docks and picking up sailors on shore leave. As my girls got older, they understood I needed space and time to read, to write, to do what I encouraged them to do, to run after their dreams like a banshee. And as much as instinct does kick in, so does doubt and worry and fear. And when your own mother or mother-in-law, when your spouse or an ECFE teacher or a friend tells you you're doing a good job, it means something. And when Mother's Day comes around and you, like millions of other mothers, get your very own card with the crayon message, "To the best mom in the world!" Well, praise doesn't get much higher than that. So tonight I raise a glass to all mothers of my own species and to those lionesses, does, ewes, peahens, jennies, Jills, tigresses, mares, sows, vixens, cows, and yes, bitches, who are given the great honor and responsibility and fun of mothering their offspring. Thank you.